Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to completely reframe how you view the daily grind, and we'll uncover the silent reason high performers actually lose their edge. I mean, we've all seen it, right? Someone at the absolute top of their game just slowly fades into irrelevance. You naturally assume it's a loss of skill, or maybe they just lost their touch. But the truth, as you'll see today, it's something way deeper, and honestly, a lot more insidious. And here is where we hit this fascinating contrarian truth. We don't fail because we suddenly lack capability. It's not like we wake up one day and just forget how to do our jobs. Actually, we decline because we disconnect from the foundational work that made us dangerous in the first place. It's this quiet psychological decay that sets in the exact moment you start believing you're somehow above the fundamentals. Which brings us to phase one, the silent decline. Now, the deterioration of a person's edge, it doesn't happen with some dramatic crash or fireworks. It sneaks up on you. It starts really simply, just being tired. And hey, everyone gets tired. But if you don't check it, that tiredness kind of devolves into cynicism. You start rolling your eyes at the basics. Then comes a flat-out disrespect for the process. You stop believing those small daily actions even matter. And finally, you're desperately seeking shortcuts. You look for leverage, status, optics, literally anything to escape direct engagement with the actual work. You just want the results without the heavy lifting. But the reality is, no one, absolutely no one, is exempt from the fundamentals. Every meaningful life is built on repetitive action. A musician still practices scales. A fighter trains footwork. A writer has to face that intimidating blank page. Whether you're a leader executing a vision or a parent just showing up for your kids, these are not beginner activities. Let me repeat that because it's absolutely crucial. They are not beginner activities. They are permanent activities. Because, well, reality enforces this brutal law. You cannot sustainably lead what you secretly despise. Think about that for a second. The athlete who starts hating training, they're going to decline. The artist who hates the act of creation just becomes mechanical. And the parent who resents responsibility becomes absent. We aren't just destroyed by failure, folks. We are so often taken down by this exact kind of emotional detachment. Let's move on to phase two, the seduction of status. As we start detaching from the work, our ego jumps in and tries to mask this decay as, sophistication. We actually start repeating these toxic, ego-driven phrases to ourselves. We say things like, oh, I've evolved beyond that, or that's beneath me now. We quietly decide we're just too important for the foundational work that actually got us to where we are. But true mastery never graduates from the fundamentals. The absolute strongest people in the world retain this strange, deep humility toward the basic work. And the real kicker here is that modern culture actively seduces us into this trap. It glorifies image over substance, visibility over capability, and influence over actual usefulness. We become completely obsessed with appearing powerful instead of remaining effective. And when you prioritize your position over your discipline, you lose your resilience. You literally become incredibly fragile to the everyday demands of reality. That brings us to phase three, the weight of meaningful effort. So we often trick ourselves into thinking that true freedom means escaping effort entirely. But here's the thing, the human nervous system is completely incompatible with permanent comfort. Real fulfillment, it requires direct engagement with reality through meaningful effort. Now, I'm not talking about meaningless exhaustion or just endless running on a hamster wheel busyness. I'm talking about useful work, daily responsibility, and honest contribution. When people stop carrying meaningful responsibility, they actually psychologically collapse. They just decay internally. A meaningful life is usually a heavy life. Carrying difficult things creates responsibility, and responsibility creates weight. But watch how this works. That weight provides internal structure, and it's that exact structure that reduces internal chaos. It allows a disciplined person to actually trust themselves and stay calm, because they know for a fact they can carry difficult things. The burden literally shapes you. Without that structure, though, we see a huge shift. People go from being builders to just being consumers of other people's energy. When that bitterness and detachment set in, people stop engaging honestly. They just start pretending to care, pretending to believe, pretending to lead or love or serve. But energy communicates way before words do. And human beings, we can always sense when someone no longer actually believes in what they're doing. Okay, let's jump to phase 4, identity over motivation. We really need to talk about how we sustain ourselves because human beings leak energy constantly. Relying on sheer motivation, it's a total losing game. It's entirely unreliable. It comes and goes with your mood or how much sleep you got last night. But identity, seeing yourself deeply as a builder or a responsible parent or a dedicated craftsman, that is what keeps you showing up even when you are totally emotionally drained. When your identity disconnects from responsibility, the collapse accelerates. But when it's tied to the process, the repetition itself shapes you and builds this immense resilience. And that's because everything meaningful in your life requires constant active renewal. I mean, everything, from intimacy in a marriage to your discipline, your purpose, your belief, and even your basic character. You do not stay strong accidentally. You renew that strength through action. The minute you view maintenance as unnecessary, relationships collapse, your health deteriorates, and your purpose just fades away. And that brings us to our final section, Phase 5, Returning to the Fundamentals. If you look at the deepest leaders out there, they aren't always the loudest or most charismatic ones in the room. They're the ones who possess true mastery, and that requires emotional integrity. This is an incredibly rare human trait. It means having the stamina to stay emotionally engaged with the repetition, right at the exact point where most people quietly quit. It means you still respect the work, you still honor the process, and you still believe those fundamentals matter, long after the initial excitement is gone and long after you've tasted success. Because greatness, it's a lot less about raw talent and way more about these sustained connections. A connection to purpose, to responsibility, to discipline, to useful work, and to reality itself. You never rise above the fundamentals. You just don't. You have to return to them again and again. Not because you're failing, but because they are your absolute source of stability, clarity, and undeniable power. They're what keep you in direct contact with reality. So, what does this all mean? It means the most dangerous moment in your life is not a catastrophic failure. It's not some massive public defeat. It is the moment you quietly decide to yourself, you know what? I no longer need the fundamentals. Once your ego creates that insulation, real feedback disappears and the decay accelerates incredibly fast. I'm going to leave you with this ultimate test of reality today. As you look at your own work, your discipline, and your relationships, can you still remain engaged without the applause? True strength isn't found in the spotlight. It's found in your relentless, humble connection to the everyday fundamentals. Thanks for exploring this topic with me today, and I want to challenge you. Start looking at your daily repetitions not as a chore or a burden, but as the literal foundation of your power.